Good morning! Happy Friday! It's Friday! Yay! Hopefully some of you will join me soon because it's weird when I'm talking to myself at this stage in a Facebook Live. Do you know that if you managed to see me just a few minutes ago before I went live, you would see something really odd. Really odd. Because I'm not this wide awake on a Friday morning or any morning. Hello, I can see someone's joined us. I am never this wide awake. What I do is 10 minutes before I'm about to start, after I send off the last notification into the Facebook event, I do bouncing. I bounce around. Hi Sinead, thanks for joining us. And it's that bouncing around that makes me look like I'm full of energy. And at 10 o'clock, when this finishes, I usually collapse into a heap for the rest of the day. I just figured out while I was waiting for this, and hi, I can see someone else is with us. I just figured out while I was waiting for this that if I did the bouncing on a Monday morning, hello, I can see there's another person joined us. If I did the bouncing on a Monday morning, Monday mornings would be far smoother. Well, I can see there's a couple of you there. Sinead, is it tea? Is it coffee? Are you on a bus? We missed you last week, I have to say. I've got peppermint tea because I wanted something refreshing, but it's so cold. It's really cold in Ireland today. So I hope you have some warm drink to warm your hands on before I get onto the social media news. And the digital marketing or social media news, you're in Athlone drinking. Is that supposed to be tea? Or does Athlone have a speciality drink? Here's my whiteboard. Okay, and the thing is, the digital marketing news is quickly, for the last 3 weeks, becoming the Facebook news. Honestly, I don't know what they're on, but there is so much happening in Facebook world at the moment. And that kind of scares me a little bit because I love the internet. I love, just in case you haven't guessed, I love the internet. I love the World Wide Web. I love being able to go out and surf and visit websites. I love Google, but sure, if Google wasn't there, there's always Bing, really, there is. And I can go to websites, I can go to all these places that do different things. But slowly, Facebook is introducing all these features that just pull it back in again and make me spend more time on Facebook, which is time I rarely feel great about. And if I want to read something, it's better if it's an instant article now. If I want to go to an event, I can use their events app. If I want to talk to a group of like-minded people, I can be in a Facebook group. And it's kind of scary how it's kind of closing down the web. Instead of this wonderful free space, we've got this wonderful free space that is slowly dragging all the users into one place, which is Facebook. Maybe that's a little bit too philosophical for a Friday morning, but that's what I was thinking about before I went live. However, I'm not going to get straight onto the news. I will give you a sneak peek of the whiteboard. There wasn't much room for my cup of tea. But before I do, I was at a conference called Learn Inbound on Wednesday in Dublin. I'm just going to grab my tea again. I can see a couple of other people have joined us. Hey, how are you? Let me know what you're drinking. I have tea. Peppermint tea. And Learn Inbound, and the first talk of the day, yes, you're right, Sinead, Facebook is all encompassing at this stage. And thanks for the thumbs up. Actually, this was a tip I got from Kate. Kate, if you're here, give us the thumbs up. So I was at Learn Inbound with Kate, so we talked about loads of things, including stuff I could do on Facebook Live, so there you go. But the first speaker of the day was one of my favourites. And she talked about idea generation. So I wrote down some notes. I've got some very rough notes from what she talked about, and I'm going to be developing those into a blog post over the next couple of weeks. I think it'll be a 1-minute moment. So are you ready for those tips? I just get my iPad. Here we are with the news. Been one of those mornings actually. My iPad crashed on me this morning. Steve Jobs wouldn't be happy about that. Okay, so coming up with ideas. What can you do to come up with better ideas? Now, hey Laura, thanks for joining us. Welcome, we have someone from England with us. Well, she's from Scotland, living in England. Just always be careful with that. Okay, so coming up with ideas. The first thing is I did a brainstorming session with Kate last week and it was fabulous. We followed some traditional brainstorming tips. I'll be including those in my post. But what this girl Stacey was suggesting is that before you go into a brainstorming session, that you have a really strong brief. So you go out, you do all your research, you go and for her she was talking about a client, but for you it could be a project that you're working on. And put together a brief. What is it that you want to get out of it? Who are your audience? Very specifically, do your personas and everything for this brief. Don't just start with your brainstorming session. Do this stuff first. And once you've got that brief, and she had one that was like a lot of pages long, give that to people to digest, not just for half an hour, give them a whole day so that they've got that time to digest the brief before you go into the brainstorming session. Now, I'm talking about brainstorming with a lot of people. In reality, I brainstorm by myself or with one other person, but obviously if you've got a bigger team, that's great. One common thing that we hear in brainstorming sessions is that no idea is a bad idea. But you know, it's sometimes the language we use to express that still makes people a little bit shy with their ideas. Because if we say no idea is a bad idea, people just go, oh yeah, my idea is a bad idea. There's no way I'm saying that. So what she's suggesting is a change in language. So you're going to have to excuse my language there. It's not very family friendly. But she said, ask for shit ideas. Get people to tell you their shit ideas, because that breaks down the barrier. Instead of saying no idea is a bad idea, say, well, give me your shittest idea. And somebody will go, oh, yeah, that's funny. So that's a great way to get through that, because that's always a good basis. It's not like you're going to use the shit idea, but it gets the creative juices flowing. Have an anonymous process for submitting ideas. So she had a tool that she recommended I'm yet to check out. But that's something people don't want to own their ideas because they're a little bit embarrassed that they might not be very good. But hey, they might take a punt on it and give them an idea. There's a Fastway van just pulled up outside. I hope it's not for me. So have some sort of anonymous thing. So that could just be a suggestion box in the office rather than going the digital route if you wanted to. But that could work really well. And then, and this is the bit I need to work on, have a variety of brainstorming techniques. She showed us two pictures, what people think brainstorming is, which is a whole load of funky people in a cafe coming up with loads of ideas. And the reality is a lot of people go, oh, my head hurts, I can't come up with anything. So by introducing different things, so you've got things like mind mapping. She had a really interesting technique that I'm going to look into. You can just brighten it up and let the ideas flow and make it a little bit more energized. So that's all I have for now. I will, as I said, there'll be a longer blog post on this coming up. Are you ready for the news? I'd love to ask you which news you wanted first, but essentially I've got Facebook Messenger news, 4 different things going on there. I have got a bit of Google news. I've got a bit of, oh, that's eBay, that's related. I've got Facebook news. 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 They really are innovating at the moment. I wouldn't want to be Snapchat. We've got Instagram news. Yeah, I know Facebook own Instagram, but it's still a little bit of extra news. And I've got some LinkedIn news. And I think that's it. So we're going to be talking a lot of Facebook. So we'll start with Facebook Messenger. Did you know Facebook Messenger is one of the most popular apps in the world? Didn't compare it to Snapchat. Hi Marion, thanks for joining. It didn't compare it to Snapchat. But I think these private messaging tools are really the way that social media is going. I think, you know, younger people are using Snapchat. Okay, I'm not younger. I do occasionally use Snapchat. And us old fogies are more likely to use something like WhatsApp, which I don't use. I'm not an old fogey. And Facebook Messenger. And Facebook are being very progressive with their Messenger to try and make that the app that people choose for their main communications. I actually know people who do only use Facebook Messenger. They don't use SMS, they don't use WhatsApp. That is their communication tool. As marketers, that means it's a hard job for us. And things like chatbots, which we've talked about before, and that's the eBay one, are really going to be the way that marketers can connect with people, which is a disaster for small business because they're way too expensive for us to develop. Anyhow, let's move on. I'm going to grab my notes again. Facebook Messenger Data Saver. Now this is kind of cool news. I drew a picture of a snail. I'm really embarrassed about my whiteboard this week. It's not as good as usual. Can you see my snail? There he is. Now, Data Saver is not just for people, like a lot of their stuff is, in places where you don't have good data coverage. This is for people who live in Ireland. Hey Kate, thanks for joining. You missed my big rant about Facebook. Okay, so this is, and actually Kate sent me this story earlier in the week before it appeared in my news feeds. When you're on your mobile, when you're accessing your data through 3G or 4G mobile networks, this data saver will save you going over your data limit. So the sorts of things it's going to do is, if somebody sends you a photograph through Messenger, instead of showing you the full-fledged photograph, it's going to show you a low-res version of that. And when you get home and Wi-Fi kicks in, you'll get the full version of the photograph. So it's going to download a whole lot less stuff as well, because as soon as you go into Messenger, it starts downloading stuff. So it's going to stop doing that when you're on your mobile. Well, when you're on your mobile internet connection. So this is the thing. This isn't going to apply to your data allowance at home when you're on Wi-Fi, only when you're on your phone's network. At the moment, they've just launched it on Android, so iPhone users like myself won't get it, but I think this is really smart of them. And I'd love if they did that across Facebook as well, because it can be really slow when you're loading stuff, particularly when you're on your mobile connection. So it would be great to see this is just a transition into something better. The second one, and I have an image for this, is that Facebook Messenger is adding new features. And the first one is interesting because earlier this week I shared my 1 minute moment was on community building, and I said you had to be a bit like a dinner party host. If you had a Facebook group or you were trying to get a community active, you had to think of topics of conversation that would spark people to talk to one another. And essentially Facebook are trying to do that in Messenger. Let me just find a photo. Now I'm hoping the screen is still flipped, because if it isn't, this is going to look really odd. And it's upside down, which is interesting. Is it upside down? No, it's not upside down. It's back to front and I can't see it properly. But this is what it looks like. At the top of your Facebook Messenger, sorry, this is from a tweet from a guy. It's going to have these prompts. So-and-so was somewhere. Do you want to start a conversation with them? Conversation starters to try and get people talking more on Messenger with more people. I think it's going to be really interesting. It could encourage more conversation, and of course that's what they want. They want us to choose Messenger as our messenger tool of choice. Back to my notes. So that's two. The third one I actually don't have photos for. This I briefly mentioned last week, is that basically Messenger is introducing Snapchat stuff. So I have to go to this now. That was my dinner party conversation starter. This is within the existing Messenger, they're calling it Messenger Day. They have it in Australia, so I was able to read about it, how it works. It has that dinner party suggestion at the top. But also you can pull down the screen from the top and you get a Snapchat interface, and you can draw on it and you can shoot video and you can make a story. Hi Elena. Could be annoying for hermits like you, the conversation thing. You're quite good at conversation though. So that's going to be a complete Snapchat rip-off again. So now they'll have it on Instagram, they'll have it on WhatsApp, and they'll have it on Facebook. Now, just because I don't view Snapchat as a nice fluffy company, I don't really mind when they do it to them, but I still don't want them owning all these bits of the internet. I want the internet to be a free place with lots of different companies doing business, lots of people, opinions from people, free spaces where people can communicate. But hey. Right, that's my Messenger news. 1, 2, 3. Just check. Oh, there's a really interesting one. First time I've had to draw the eBay logo, which will be flipped for you, but that does say eBay. eBay are launching a chatbot. It's in beta at the moment, but that chatbot is basically it assists people who want to buy stuff on eBay. So they'll ask them questions to qualify them and show them products. When the product is found, the transaction doesn't happen on Facebook. They go to eBay to do the buying. It's going to store things as well. So if you say, and this is where I think it might not work. If I say I'm a size 6 shoe, that's going to stay forever, right? If I say I'm a size 10, if I say I'm a size 14 and then I go on a diet, it's going to keep my size 14 and keep trying to offer me size 14 clothes. So I think that could, well, it's just a downside, I suppose, that, you know, there are things that change in our lives that aren't constants, and our weight very much is that. Right, that is my messenger news. I have some Google news. Give me a heart or a like if you're still there. I can see I've got Kate, I can see I've got Ellen, I'm sure Sinead's still there. That's 3, I know. We may have lost a few in transition. Google News. This is a really interesting one. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about today, thanks for the heart, a lot of the stuff, and thanks for the like, I feel really happy now. A lot of the things that are happening at the moment are very election based, which is really strange because the election isn't happening here. It isn't happening in the UK. Hey Marianne, you're all giving me hearts and thumbs ups now. So yes, the election's happening in the US. I have never been so overwhelmed with news about elections that are happening in other countries. Google have added a feature to their news and it's getting touted as an election thing called fact checking. Now I looked today, it's not available, well it's not coming up even on mobile or desktop for me at the moment. But underneath news stories there's going to be this little fact check tab, which means when you see a story from the Daily Mail, who are known for not completely accurate, you're going to see underneath a fact check button, and you can click that and it's going to show you stories from other sites that verify what's being said or tell you the truth. Now this is a hard one because how do you know what the truth is? Because when I looked at what it said that they're going to use things like schema.org, and you may have seen that, you know, if you'll search for, yesterday I searched for when is the iPhone launched, and at the top of the screen will be kind of they call it position 0 on Google, which will tell me the answer to that question. So that's something you put on the back end of your site when you're answering questions so that you can get that spot, schema.org. But obviously, if you're fact checking something from, I'm not going to say the same newspaper again, but a different newspaper, The Sun, the Daily Mail, whatever it happens to be, what's stopping The Sun and the Daily Mail having the schema there so that it looks like it's a fact? Until I see this in action, even a Wikipedia link, we know how fallible they are. Until I see this in action, I don't know how great it's going to be. I like that they're making the effort, though. I really can't avoid Facebook news, so we'll go on to the second bit of Facebook news, which is your main Facebook. I'm really excited about the first one, which is Facebook Live. Did you ever notice how freaky that logo is before? Verified pages they've rolled this out for at the moment, so I don't have it, but I can't wait until I do, because those of you who are familiar with my process is I set up an event, I invite you all to the event. You should, if you RSVP that event, be getting notifications on Facebook saying, event is going live. But I won't need to do that when they introduce this, because this means you can schedule your Facebook Lives. And at first when I saw that, I was like, what do they mean, schedule a Facebook Live? It can't be live if it's scheduled. But no, it is just like the events that I set up. Basically, you can go into the back end of your site, you can get your stream ID, and you can make that like a Facebook post. Then it appears up. You can even put in your customized thumbnail like I would on my live event. It comes up saying this event's happening with a big RSVP for a reminder. So it's doing everything that the events were doing for me, but it's very specialized towards Facebook Live. And the really good news, I hope you're laughing at that, Kate. The really good news is this is a quote from, so I'm just going to wait here. Am I back? I am back. This is a quote from Facebook. It's gone to verified pages only at the moment, but it will come to all pages in the weeks to come. So this is really good news, because usually it's not in the weeks to come, it's in the months to come. So I'm really looking forward to this. If you haven't tried Facebook Live yet, and if you can find a way to use it, I still think it is the future of Facebook. So you need to be thinking about how you can integrate it into your strategy. And it's great fun. Wakes me up on a Friday. Okay. The second bit of Facebook news, actually I'm going to go to the most exciting bit really, which is a bit what my Facebook rant was about earlier. Here's the calls to action. They're adding additional calls to action to Facebook, and it terrifies you. Facebook Live, Laura. But you don't have to do it. You just get someone else in front of the camera. That could work for you. So this is... Sorry, it's going to take me a while to find my note. There's loads of them. There's new tools being announced, but the call to action one is interesting. They're adding new calls to action to Facebook. So, you know, if you go to a Facebook page at the moment, if you're on mine, you'll be able to see, sorry, I've got hair in my eye. That's Facebook Live. Where's hair and makeup? Come here, sort me out. You'll see at the top of the page there's a sign up button. If you click that, it goes through to the sign up for my mailing list on my website, which you should all do, by the way. And that is, it's like it's Facebook sending you to the website. These new call to action buttons will help everything happen within Facebook, which is good news because it means it will be more seamless. We know what happens on mobile. When people click a link on mobile, it takes ages to go there and they'll give up. The new call to action buttons include book tickets for a cinema or an event, make an appointment. So with a doctor they're thinking, or with a hairdresser, but you can make an appointment with me. I might look at that one. You can order food. You can request a quote. But it all integrates with third-party software that's going to integrate within Facebook. So essentially you won't be leaving Facebook. The whole transaction will happen there. And that's what's different about these calls to action. So for events, for example, it'd be Eventbrite. When you set up an event, instead of them having to leave and go to the Eventbrite page, it will be integrated in. And that's where my rant first thing this morning comes in, because it's yet another thing that's keeping me within the walled garden of Facebook rather than letting me loose on the wonderful expanse of the internet. However, I will be getting one of these call to action buttons as soon as they're released. The next story is another US election one. This is my attempt at the Stars and Stripes. I hope nobody from America looks at this later, because that might be upsetting to them that I've drawn it so badly. But the American election, they have introduced a tool. When I put together this, I had this whole quandary, because obviously I am not a Trump supporter. I'd just like to go out there and say that. But as soon as I started grabbing these off the Hillary Clinton page, I thought, oh, I don't want to be caught in controversy. People are going to attack me. So let's just say I'm not a Trump supporter. Okay, let's just go there. Right, so if this was taken from the mobile Facebook, not from the app, so I don't want to talk to Siri. It tells me it's trying to do. Okay, it's fine. I don't want Siri. Thank you very much. This is taken from the mobile Facebook experience. If you're on the desktop, these appear on the right-hand side. So you can see, if I get the right angle on it, endorsements at the top of the page there. And if you click on endorsements, that brings you through to this endorsements page, which gives me the opportunity. Oh, it's Facebook Live for you. It gives you the opportunity to share a post endorsing, in this case, Hillary Clinton. And you click the endorse button, it creates a specific post for you, and it goes out to whichever audience you select, which most people it would be friends. If you go public, it's going to appear in a section on her page. I'm noting there are no public endorsements at the moment. I'm not sure if that's just because I can't see them outside America, because you'd expect that lots of people are going to be endorsing. And you can also see your friends' endorsements. So to be honest, you could go through this, you could find your friends that endorse Trump, delete them. Okay, and then once you've done that, this is the create post interface, just so you can see it. I think it's kind of interesting. I always find it interesting when Facebook gets involved in politics. It's obviously very pro the democratic system. It always has that thing where when there is an election on, encouraging you to press that you've voted. it is an interesting one out there. I'm sure it's going to break friendships. I know it's going to break friendships. I know when we had the marriage equality bill here, it broke friendships. So I'm not sure that's exactly what they wanted to do. I think they just want to own the conversation. The third one is, last week I told you that Facebook had launched an independent app for their events, which we still don't have in Ireland. Grr. But the good thing about that, I keep forgetting to use, I've got all these things here. The good thing about that is that we now have them, or will have them very shortly, on the regular Facebook app. So all the kind of cool tools that we're going to show you, events that we're nearby and stuff along those lines, we'll have them. The other really, really cool thing that they have, and this is the question mark, is, you know, at the moment you'll be going somewhere and you go, can anyone recommend a restaurant in Galway, for example? And some of your friends come on and go, have you tried here or have you had here? They're actually going to make that a formalized call for help type post. So you post that and it will recognize that you're looking for recommendations, and it will encourage your friends to recommend somewhere to go. So does anyone know a good restaurant in Galway? Okay, I know half of the people here aren't living in Ireland, so I don't blame you. I know lots of good restaurants in Galway. Always ask me. But you put that up, it will appear as a post. People are able to recommend and tag the pages of the restaurants that they'd be recommending. And then they will come up on a map. So you'll be able to see a map of where those restaurants are compared to where you are, which I think is great. It's a great use of the tool because that's already happening. It's just adding some extra data to it. I think it would be really, really effective. The thing is, if you're a small business, a local business of any sort, just make sure your map is working. If you're unsure at all how that works, I'll try and remember to post a link at the bottom to show you how you can get your map working on Facebook, because that's going to be a massive way that new traffic is going to come to you. I'm almost done. I have LinkedIn news, because that's always exciting, and I have Instagram news. And to be honest, it was hard to find anything that wasn't Facebook on the news today. And we all know that Facebook own Instagram, so the Instagram news isn't huge. It's just that this has been rolled out to everyone. Stories are now in the Explore tab. So when you hit the magnifying glass at the bottom of your Instagram, you come to your Explore tab and you can see this hasn't loaded properly, but you can see the stories at the top. So these aren't from the people you already follow. These are new people that you haven't seen stories from before. So it's a great discovery tool. I'm kind of liking this. For me, it's great because I'm always looking for examples for research. So this means I can broaden my base and find new people this way. Obviously, if Instagram's a massive part of your strategy, you need to be getting into this Discover tab. And obviously that means you need to get a lot of interaction on your stories. And also it's personalized. So it's supposed to show individual users things they might be interested in. I think it's a big step for stories. I do think Instagram stories, however happy Snapchat seemed to be, I know there's a lot of people that are either using both or they've abandoned Snapchat for stories. There will always be some hardcore Snapchat users though. And LinkedIn. Who? Hey Una Min, hello. I will remember one day. Who hates LinkedIn endorsements? Give me a heart or a like or a why if you hate LinkedIn endorsements. Because LinkedIn endorsements, yeah, thanks. LinkedIn endorsements are rubbish, aren't they? You go onto LinkedIn and they'll put up somebody that you connected with, LinkedIn tumbleweed. I'm getting more into LinkedIn now. I'm spending less time on Facebook. But I go into LinkedIn, I'll go look at I'll go in and it'll bring up this picture of somebody I met 5 years ago that I connected with. Don't really remember who they are. And it'll say, is this person good at? And it will just throw up something. And lots of people would just click, yeah, sure, why not? That's being nice to someone, isn't it? And then what happens? You get all these endorsements for things you can't do. It's only mildly annoying because you don't need to accept them. But, okay, that's a why from Una Min as well. So we hate LinkedIn endorsements. So that's not so good. It's annoying when you get them, when they're not real. It's okay when you get them when they're good. And then I think a lot of people are wasting time clicking the yes button. That's it, really. Now, We all know that LinkedIn was bought by Microsoft earlier this year, so they're looking at the things that they can improve, and they look like they're going to improve endorsements. So at the moment on mobile, if you look through, you'll see top endorsements that you have, or it's called something along those lines on someone's profile, but they're going to start contextualizing that. So they're going to put in if you've got a lot of endorsements from people you're connected to, because that means something to you. It'll say so and so and so and so say that this person's good at this amongst 200 other people, however many endorsements you've got for that. That's great. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to prioritize people that the person they're endorsing has worked with. So if you're not connected to any of those people, it will still prioritize the endorsements from real people who really know you. And the third thing it's going to do is it's going to promote endorsements to the top from other people who have expertise in that field. So if anyone is got like social media marketing as a skill that they've got endorsed for on LinkedIn, and they endorse me for social media marketing, you would pop up as being somebody who knew about it too, which is obviously another very valid endorsement. I am slowly learning to love LinkedIn. It is great for business. It's not much fun, but actually you can get hooked into the whole thing of meeting new people there. So I do think it's good. I am 1 minute over time. I'm just checking my board. I think I covered everything. Hopefully we'll have news that isn't Facebook related next week. Don't forget, I have a weekly and monthly newsletter that goes out full of tips and blogs and podcasts and videos and how-tos, and it's really good. If you would like it, just above me, or when you leave this, go to the spider working page, you will see the sign up button. Follow that sign up button and you'll get through to the page where you can sign up for that. If you're not in my Facebook group yet, search Small Business Bloggers. We have a comment thread that starts at 10 a.m, so it's actually up there right away. If you'd like to get more comments on your latest blog post, go there. And finally, set an alarm for 9:30 a.m. next Friday. I'll see you then, and we'll have another chat. Thanks for joining.